Have you ever wondered what would happen if the mighty US dollar, the backbone of the global economy, suddenly started losing its grip? What if the nations you've been hearing about, BRICS, decided enough is enough and flipped the game on its head? Could your savings, investments, and even the price of your groceries be at risk? Are we on the brink of a financial revolution that could shock the world? Stick around, because what I'm about to reveal will change the way you think about money, power, and global politics forever. You won't see this coming, so here's what I need you to do. Hit that like button, smash subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss an update that could keep you one step ahead of the game. Have you ever stopped and asked yourself why the dollar has been the king of the world for so long? I mean, think about it. Everywhere you go, every deal, every trade, almost every country bows to the dollar. But what if I told you that this absolute dominance is under threat? That somewhere right now, BRICS, the powerful coalition of Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, is quietly plotting a move that could shake the foundations of the global economy. You might want to grab a pen and paper because what I'm about to explain could change the way you think about money, power, and even your future savings. BRICS isn't just a group of countries with big populations and natural resources. No, they're much more strategic than that. They are building something huge, a financial alliance designed to reduce dependence on the dollar. Think about that for a second. The dollar has been the global go-to for decades. Every major trade, every international loan, every commodity like oil or wheat has been priced in dollars. It's been untouchable until now. BRICS countries are creating alternative payment systems and trade agreements in their own currencies. They're essentially saying, we don't need your dollar anymore. And if they succeed, the ripple effect on the US economy could be devastating. Here's where it gets even more intriguing. This isn't just about politics or pride. It's about real economic leverage. By trading in their own currencies, BRICS countries can protect themselves from sanctions, inflation, and the instability of the US economy. They can control their own destiny instead of being at the mercy of a single global currency. And the scary part, most of the world might eventually follow them. When you see countries like Iran, Turkey, or even some African nations starting to bypass the dollar, it's not just coincidence, it's part of a bigger trend that BRICS is leading, but the strategy doesn't stop there. These nations are also investing heavily in infrastructure, technology, and resources that make them indispensable in global trade. It's like a quiet financial takeover. No guns, no armies, just smart moves that weaken the dollar's grip bit by bit. Imagine waking up one day and realizing the dollar isn't the king anymore. Imagine what that could do to everything you've worked for. Your investments, your retirement, even the price of gas at the pump. And here's the twist you won't see coming. The more the dollar struggles, the more BRICS gains power, not in a flashy way, but in a slow, unstoppable rise that most people won't notice until it's too late. They are methodically rewriting the rules of global finance. And the real question is, are we ready for it? Are you ready for it? Because what BRICS is building right now could change the global economy forever. Stay tuned, because if you think this is just a theory, the next moves they make are going to shock the world. And you're going to want to understand exactly how it works before it's too late. Have you ever thought about why the dollar has been untouchable for so long, especially when it comes to oil? Every barrel you hear about in the news, every gas station, every shipment across the oceans, it's priced in US dollars. That's called the Petrodollar system, and it's been the backbone of America's global power for decades. But here's the thing, what if the rules of this game suddenly changed? What if the very thing that made the dollar untouchable, oil, became the weapon that could bring it down? That's exactly the scenario BRICS is quietly preparing. And if it happens, it won't just rattle Wall Street. It could shake your wallet. Here's how it works. Right now, almost every country that buys oil has to pay in dollars. That creates a constant demand for US currency and keeps the dollar strong, no matter what happens domestically. But imagine if Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa decided on no more. What if they started selling and buying oil in their own currencies or in a new BRICS-backed currency? Suddenly, the dollar isn't the only option anymore. Countries around the world, seeing a safer or more profitable alternative, could start abandoning the dollar. And when that happens, and it's not just theory, it's already happening behind the scenes. Russia, for example, has been negotiating oil deals in rubles and even gold. China is creating massive oil reserves and encouraging its neighbors to trade in yuan. Other BRICS nations are following suit. This isn't a small rebellion. This is a coordinated strategy to chip away at the dollar's global monopoly. It's a slow-burning earthquake that could ripple through every financial system on the planet. But here's the part that will really make you sit up. The US dollar doesn't just buy oil, it buys influence. It's the reason America can impose sanctions and control international trade. If the petrodollar crumbles, that power starts to fade. Imagine a world where major economies are no longer dependent on the dollar for energy. Suddenly, US leverage drops, interest rates could spike, inflation could soar, and ordinary people, you, me, everyone, would feel it at the gas pump, the grocery store, and in our bank accounts. And the most terrifying part, most people don't even see it coming. The media barely talks about it. Banks aren't sounding alarms, yet BRICS is quietly building an alternative financial world, one that could bypass the dollar completely. If they succeed, it won't be an overnight collapse, but a steady erosion, a financial shift so big that it could rewrite global power as we know it. Stick with me, because the next moves these countries make will reveal just how fragile the dollar really is. And when you understand this, you'll see why being informed isn't just smart. It might be the key to protecting yourself before the shockwave hit. Have you ever stopped to think about what really gives money its power? Most people think it's just paper, numbers on a screen, or coins in your pocket. But the truth is, the most powerful money in the world has backing, something real, tangible, and almost untouchable. And right now, BRICS is quietly building an arsenal of assets that could change the entire game, making the dollar look fragile and outdated. I'm talking about gold, natural resources, and even digital currencies that could shake the very foundation of global finance. If you think this is far-fetched, stay with me, because what they're doing is already in motion. Think about gold for a second. For thousands of years, it's been a symbol of wealth and stability. While the US dollar floats on confidence and debt, BRICS countries are stockpiling gold like a financial fortress. Russia has been quietly increasing its gold reserves. China is buying gold at record rates, and other members are following the trend. Why? Because gold doesn't lie. It can't be printed, it can't be devalued overnight, and it holds real value when the dollar starts to wobble. This is more than a hedge. It's a strategic move to build a safety net that could underpin an entirely new global currency system. But gold isn't the only piece of the puzzle. BRICS is also exploring digital currencies and blockchain-backed systems. Imagine a world where international trade doesn't rely on banks or the dollar, but instead happens through secure, transparent digital channels controlled by a coalition of major economies. It sounds futuristic, but the technology is already here and BRICS is investing heavily in it. This isn't just about innovation, it's about power. If they succeed, they could bypass the dollar entirely, making it just another option instead of the global standard. And here's where it gets really interesting. These moves create leverage. With gold, digital currencies, and a network of powerful economies backing their financial system, BRICS can challenge the dollar without firing a single shot. It's a quiet revolution that could leave America's currency struggling to maintain its value. Ordinary people might not notice at first, but the impact would ripple through investments, loans, and even everyday expenses like groceries and fuel. The frightening truth is, while the world watches the stock market, the real battle for financial dominance is happening quietly behind the scenes. BRICS isn't just playing defense. They're preparing an offensive strategy designed to slowly, methodically, and almost invisibly reduce the dollar power. And once that domino starts to fall, the effects could be unstoppable. So stick with me, because understanding this could be the difference between being caught off guard and staying ahead. What BRICS is building isn't just a financial plan. It's a blueprint for global influence, and it's happening right now, quietly, while most of the world is asleep. Have you ever wondered why the US dollar has been called unshakable, invincible, and the backbone of the global economy? For decades, it has been the safe haven for governments, investors, and everyday people alike. But here's the truth most people don't talk about. The dollar's strength is built on massive amounts of debt. Yes, the same system that gives it power also makes it vulnerable. And BRICS knows exactly where to strike. If you think the dollar can survive indefinitely without challenge, you're in for a wake-up call. Let's break it down. The United States owes trillions of dollars, both domestically and abroad. Every new loan, every bond issued, every bit of spending adds to the mountain of debt the world is essentially counting on. And the dollar dominance depends on continuous trust. Its bills, that it can control inflation and that its currency won't collapse under pressure. But what happens when that trust starts to crack? That's where BRICS comes in. BRICS countries are strategically positioned to exploit these weaknesses by creating alternative trade agreements, backing currencies with real assets like gold, and reducing reliance on the dollar in global transactions. They are slowly chipping away at the very foundation of U.S. financial power. If other countries start following their lead, demand for the dollar could drop dramatically. When demand falls, the value falls, and suddenly, all that debt becomes even more dangerous. Interest rates could soar, borrowing could become expensive, and the cost of living could spike. Ordinary people could feel this shock in ways that hit them at home. Higher gas prices, more expensive groceries, even rising mortgage payments. And it's not just about numbers, it's about perception. The dollar has long been seen as the safest currency in the world. But perception can shift fast. When the world sees major economies successfully bypassing the dollar, confidence erodes. Investors might look for alternatives, countries might stop holding dollar reserves, and the once invincible currency suddenly looks fragile. The bigger the debt, the faster the fall. BRICS isn't just watching this happen, they're actively creating the conditions for it. The scary part? Most people have no idea this is happening. They trust their dollars, their savings, and their investments without realizing that the system supporting it is under quiet attack. By the time the average person notices, the effects could already be widespread and difficult to counter. BRICS is not bluffing. They are methodically building the tools to expose the cracks in the U.S. financial system. So stay with me, because the next moves they make could trigger global shockwaves. Understanding this is more than financial curiosity. It's about preparing for a potential shift that could touch every corner of the world. And once you see how fragile the dollar really is, you'll realize why being informed isn't optional. It's essential. Have you ever imagined a world where the dollar isn't king anymore? Where the currency you've relied on for your savings, your investments, and even your day-to-day spending suddenly starts losing its grip on global power. Sounds like something out of a thriller, right? But this isn't fiction. It's a real possibility, and BRICS is quietly building the blueprint to make it happen. The question isn't if this could happen, it's when and what it means for every single person on the planet. Think about it. The dollar's dominance isn't just about numbers on a screen. It's about influence. It allows the U.S. to control global trade, dictate interest rates, and even impose sanctions that shape world politics. But if BRICS successfully weakens the dollar, all of that power could shift almost overnight. Countries could start trading in alternative currencies, bypassing the dollar entirely. Global loans, oil deals, and commodities might no longer need U.S. currency as a standard. And that shift, though subtle at first, would send shockwaves through markets, investments, and everyday prices that hit closer to home than most people realize. Now, imagine what this means for ordinary people. Imports could become more expensive. Even something as simple as filling your car with gas could start costing more. It's a ripple effect that touches everyone, not just governments or investors. The financial world may seem abstract, but the consequences are very real, and BRICS knows it. They're not just playing a long game, they're shaping a future where the dollar's influence dwindles, and they quietly rise to fill the gap. And the scary part, most of this happening under the radar. While headlines focus on politics, entertainment, and day-to-day news, the real action is behind closed doors, negotiations, trade deals, currency swaps, and investment strategies that could reshape the global economy. BRICS isn't bluffing. They're methodical, patient, and extremely strategic. They're setting up an alternative financial system that could steadily erode the dollar's power, leaving the U.S. scrambling to keep up. But here's the twist that will really grab your attention. Once the dominoes start falling, the effect could be unstoppable. Countries might rush to adopt new systems. Markets could react violently, and the ripple effect could be felt in ways that seem sudden, even though it was years in the making. It's like watching a slow-motion train wreck. If you understand it, you can prepare. If you ignore it, you get swept up in the chaos. So stay with me, because the story of BRICS versus the dollar isn't just about money. It's about power, influence, and the kind of global change that impacts every person on this planet. The choices made today could determine who wins and who gets left behind. Understanding this now isn't just smart, it could be critical for anyone trying to navigate the uncertain financial world ahead. So, what does all of this really mean for you and me? The truth is, we're standing on the edge of a financial shift that could change the world as we know it. BRICS isn't just a group of countries talking. They're taking action, quietly building systems, alliances, and strategies that could weaken the dollar's dominance and reshape global power. And when that happens, it won't just affect Wall Street or governments. It will ripple straight into our wallets, our investments, and our everyday lives. The key takeaway? Knowledge is power. Understanding these shifts now gives you the chance to prepare, adapt, and stay one step ahead, while others are still caught by surprise. The dollar has ruled for decades, but history has shown us that no empire lasts forever. BRICS is quietly writing the next chapter, and the choices made today will decide who wins, who loses, and who survives in the new world of money. So pay attention, stay informed, and never underestimate the quiet moves happening behind the scenes, because the financial earthquake is already in motion, and it's coming for everyone. Now, if you want to stay ahead of moves like this, moves that could change the world and your wallet, you've got to stay informed. So here's what I need you to do. Hit that like button, smash subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss an update that could keep you one step ahead of the game. And don't just watch. Think, share, and talk about it. The more people understand what's happening with the dollar and BRICS, the smarter we all can be. Trust me, the story isn't over, and the next chapter could hit faster than you think. Stay alert, stay ready, and stay in the know.